Hello, everybody. Good evening, and we are back with our money talks. As you know, that we at tellmeourstory.biz have invited money stories, and for those, we are doing some money talks. And today, I'm very, very happy to welcome my very esteemed guest and a very esteemed friend, a dear friend actually, Neelam Kumar. She is much senior, but she doesn't behave like that with me. She behaves like a very dear friend, someone I have grown up with probably. She is very dear, and if you have ever spoken to her, you will understand how empathetic, how friendly, how beautiful she is inside out. Neelam Kumar is an author, a coach, a behavioral coach, a counselor, and she is a very big inspiration for much lesser mortals like me. Neelam, a warm welcome to my show, and thank you so much for taking out time. Uh,
Coral, thank you very much for having me on your show. I hope you know, I'm completely in awe of you, of your outer and inward beauty, the efforts in your authorship the women-centric books that you have written, the entrepreneurship things that you have done, the painter that you are, and you're so many women rolled into one. I admire you for that. And above all, you are a wonderful, wonderful human being. So thank you so much, Coral, for having me here.
Audience, as I said, now you know that how generous Neelam is. She can say this because she is a much bigger, brighter soul than many of us can ever be. Neelam has just released her book, uh, I Am Invincible, a name which is very powerful, very empowering, and the name itself says a lot about it. Neelam, before we get into the conversation, I would be very happy if you read out a little bit from your
Sure.
newly released work.
Thank you. So this is the book. I Am Invincible, 13 True Tales of Courage, Grit, and Survival. So I'll just read a few lines. This book is a celebration of that wonderful treasure we are born with, the human spirit. You can squash it, crush it, smash it, yet it will rise again, stronger and more determined than before. It is as if that very moment we reach the edge of life's cliff, it takes its flight, soaring high into new, unexplored horizons. The stories in this book are all about that warrior within us who stands up tall, unconquerable, invincible, and proud in the face of the most unimaginable adversities.
Thank you so much, Neelam, for that little passage that you have written. We will come back to a little more reading again if you allow us to do that. Before that, I would like to know a little about how I Am Invincible came to you. I understand that there are 13 stories, but let's start with the name. How did the name come to you, and how did you bring the entire content together?
Well, I am invincible is something I have always believed in, not only for myself, for the human spirit. You see, Coral, I've had a very rough life, have faced two cancers and one meningitis. And
Hmm.
each time I psyched myself into saying, I am invincible. And each time I did that along with my spirituality, I could bounce back. So it's a feeling that I always have, that if you tell your mind you will win, and if you tell your mind that you are invincible, chances are your body will listen to it. Most of the
Hmm.
times, the body complies. For example, the latest one, when I had meningitis, there was 2% chance of survival. But when I heard the doctors saying we are losing her, and even if she survives, I don't think she'll be able to use her limbs. So, somewhere in the back of my mind, I was saying, but I have decided to live, and I
Hmm.
have to come back, and I have to live a life of dignity and meaning. And
Hmm.
then, in those long months in the hospital, on the hospital bed, I thought of a story that would give courage to, thought of a book that would give courage to everyone. And that's how the name I Am Invincible, 13 Tales of Courage, Grit, and Survival came to be.
So, Neelam, are these 13 tales from your life, or are these an accumulation of experiences, fictionalized, non fictionalized? Why don't you tell us a little about the tales?
Thank you, Coral. Well, the first story is about myself because I've written Why Am I Qualified to Write About This? And it
Hmm.
talks about my own life. But
Hmm.
after that, there are 13 true tales. There's no fiction about it.
Hmm.
And it is, tales like very powerful stories of a young gang raped woman who
Hmm.
has now gone on to become a huge achiever, a huge celebrity. Then there
Hmm.
is, a man from New Zealand who decided to climb Mount Everest after
Hmm.
he lost both his legs to double amputation.
Hmm.
And then there is another gentleman who has had 10 heart attacks. Can you believe that? And a heart and a kidney transplant. And yet he joyously travels the world solo. So it's their spirit that I want myself and the readers to get infected by. So I want them to read these 13 stories and
Hmm.
say, my goodness, these people are invincible. If they could win, so can I.
Neelam, I am tempted to know that how did you even get across to these people?
It was a lot of, in fact, I had so many stories. I had so many people approaching me when they came to know that I'm writing this book that I felt sorry to leave out some. And therefore, Coral, I want to say that I will definitely be doing a part two. But what I'm going to do is, I just feel that the voices of survivors and adversity fighters is not amplified enough. We
Hmm.
are very pessimistic, so it's
Hmm.
time we shifted our gaze to optimism. So that is why starting this Friday, April 9th, I will be hosting the Instagram, the Invincible Talks on my Insta Live, and
Hmm.
people can please join in at Life Coach Neelam at 6 p.m. every Friday, starting this 9th, April 9th. And that will give them more voice. And for
Hmm.
the people who listen to these real life heroes, it's going to be an experience because they've met the worst of adversities and they've given it one hell of a fight. And guess what? They won.
Guys, please remember, those who are watching it, or those who will be watching it after we are done or in between, you will join us. Neelam's I Am Invincible talks on Instagram Live will start from April 9th. I will be there. Do join us, because I'm sure these stories will be something for us to hold on to, especially in the times when we all have gone through different levels of depression. Uh, Neelam, coming back again to the content that you have created, the book that you have written, I Am Invincible. I wanted to know, you have briefly touched upon this particular aspect, that it's all in the mind. Is that strength, that invincibility, you believe, is really in the mind and less to do with the situational factors? How does it span out?
I totally believe that a sense of invincibility is in our minds. If you believe it, you can do it. These heroes, real life heroes, they believed it when
Mhm.
their everyday joys had become acid washed, when their tears had dried up. They summoned the power of the human spirit and decided to give their adversity a huge fight. So you see,
Mhm.
they did it and they proved that they are invincible. That spirit, Coral, all of us have, but we, do not really, at the crucial moment, we forget about it. And, uh, we don't remember that, yes, we can fight it. In fact, I would like to say something. The strange part is that in this beautiful, bitter life that we have, the truth is, the reality is that we are all on a cascading fall towards the inevitable death.
Hmm.
So, what do we do at the crucial moment when we are faced with such a circumstance? How we behave, react at that time, that decides our quality as a human being. So these people, they believed in their invincibility, and they are absolute heroes for all of us. So, Coral, this little book is my gift to my readers. This is my 10th book. This is my gift to my readers to take away the grimness of the pandemic and turn it into positivity, sunshine, and hope.
That's wonderfully said, Nilam. And now I'll bring you to a very practical aspect of this particular term, I'm invincible, and I'll spend a little time on it with your permission. As you know
Sure.
that we have started our project called Money Stories, and we are inviting stories, different kinds of stories where money plays a central role. I would like to know from you that while I totally agree that it's all in your mind, and a lot of your personal or social fights can be fought if you have that mental stability and stamina to go through whatever comes and still reach the goal that you have set for yourself. Money does play a very important role in our being there. In your I am invincible, not just the book, but in your attitude of I am invincible, how do you see money featuring? Or what is your take of that entire conversation?
So, actually, I want to focus on the actual role of money.
Hmm.
So, I will discuss two milestones from my own life.
Yes, please.
The first was my early widowhood at the age of 35.
Hmm.
And the second um, were my illnesses.
Hmm.
Both left me in a financial mess.
Hmm.
So, regarding my widowhood, I was a very pampered wife, and my only job was actually to read books, follow my passion of reading and writing, while my husband did everything. I had not even seen the inside of a bank. So, one beautiful summer's day, when he suddenly died, it was a horrifying experience for me. I did not know how to handle the world. With two small children, I did not know what I would do. And then there were liabilities to be paid, there were people to be paid off. And at that time, what happened is, the fraudsters, the con men, all
Hmm.
those were looking for exactly a bakra like me. So I made a lot of mistakes and I landed in a financial mess. So, if I had actually understood the role of money, actual role of money, maybe I would not have fallen in that mess. And the other is my illnesses. Here I would like to express my deep anger at the fact that cancer treatment is so very expensive in our country.
Yes.
When we are sitting on a cancer epidemic, there is one Indian who dies every 50 seconds. And yet, it is such an expensive treatment that entire families have been wiped out. I
Hmm.
know many people who have completely sold everything, gone bankrupt. I also know of a person in from the villages who kept all the money reserved for his own treatment. He was undergoing treatment. He did not continue that, and he gave all that money for his only daughter's dowry. So you see, it also promotes social evils. So
Hmm.
I really feel actual role of money is really important when it comes to meeting calamities, illnesses. For a sense of invincibility, you need to be secure.
Hmm.
Now, everyone must build a nest egg that will take them through the rough times.
Hmm.
But beyond that, Coral, I truly feel need must not become greed,
Hmm.
because money is like sea water. The more you drink, the thirstier you become.
Hmm. Neelam, you have said something very beautiful, and I would request you to put forward a little wisdom on the very fact or the way you believe it. Do you think there is something called perceived role of money and there is something called real need of money? Is there a difference between perception and need when it
I'm
comes to
so
money?
glad, sorry, I'm so glad you asked me this question immediately after the actual role of money. Yes, unfortunately, in our society, in our materialistic world, money, the perceived role of money is very complex.
Hmm.
People think that the more money they have, the more successful they will be.
Hmm.
So I personally, I'm just expressing my opinion.
Yes,
I
please.
dislike people displaying vulgarly their wealth. I
Hmm.
dislike people showing off their new range of 10 cars, the latest house, the latest designer clothes. I think it's a vulgar display. I want to ask these people, how can money be a yardstick for success? Does it bring happiness? Certainly not. I know of many, I've read of many, many billionaires who have said money is just a tool.
Hmm.
And there's all the money around, but I'm dying a miserable death. So, I want to say our pursuit, the role of the perceived role is very different from the actual role. I personally believe our purpose of coming in on this planet is the brief period that we are between birth and death. We are here to find happiness,
Hmm.
build happiness, spread happiness. Money is a tool. You definitely need to be comfortable. You definitely need to be secure. But beyond that, the money you have gives you freedom. The money you pursue enslaves you. That's where the perceived role, as I see it, of money is.
Absolutely. So, the way you say it is so beautiful. I could just imagine a crossroad where on one hand you have I am invincible written. On the other end, there are things like money, fame, uh, security, companionship, and then there is a line crossing this particular grid. On one hand there is arrogance and on the other hand there is confidence. I want to ask you, Neelam, that we have different kinds of need, and when it comes to financial need, there's no denying that it's a very important need. In order to move towards invincibility, there are many who walk that path, which also gives them financial upliftment. They walk that path and become arrogant. And then there are people who walk that path and become confident. How do we differentiate or stop ourselves? Because it is a very thin line.
Absolutely.
where you become,
Absolutely.
you slip into confidence or you slip into arrogance. Is there a way to keep that thing very particularly, specifically ticking in our brain that we should be very careful? I ask you this because you are also a counselor, you are also a behavioral coach, and I do believe that your answer will inspire many.
So I will explain that, Coral, through again my own life example.
Yes, please.
Uh, I am in two of the most noble professions in my career, teaching and writing.
Right.
And both are non lucrative. They give you no money or little money.
Hmm.
But when I compare it to the 30 years of top shot corporate life that I had in India's largest steel company, um, I was earning a fat salary. Was
Hmm.
I happy then? I think I'm happier now because happiness leads to contentment, or
Hmm.
contentment leads to happiness. Therefore, money is just a tool, as I say. And when the craving for it stops, when we stop chasing others, for more money, more goods, more territory, more belongings, when we stop that, we can actually concentrate on freeing our soul to see, to value, the real joys of life.
Hmm.
So the richest man, they still get sick, they still get lonely, you know, and they still feel loveless. So I think money should be treated as something that can give you happiness. And the piling it up really doesn't work. In fact, there are two things I'm just reminded of,
Yes, please.
with your permission. I follow Nichiren Daishonen's Buddhism, and Buddhism talks of two kinds of happiness. One is the relative happiness, and the other is absolute happiness. So we are all in search of happiness. What is happiness? Relative happiness is when you get the latest car and the biggest house, bigger
Hmm.
than your neighbors. But then
Yes.
your neighbor gets two of those. So you buy two more, and then he continues buying. You enter the rat race of misery. It never stops. So,
Hmm.
relative happiness is very temporary, very short lived, whereas absolute happiness is self generated.
Hmm.
So, it comes either through meditation, by doing social work, or in my case, chanting. So we should be very, very careful about not becoming arrogant. Coral, you have written books, and you've written fantastic books. And I can say to all my viewers, she is not arrogant at all. And one very honest admission, I mean, this is my 10th book. And somebody asked me, how do you feel after writing 10 bestsellers? And I say always, I feel more humble than ever because it is my small attempt to touch lives across the world. And when I leave this world, I will have led a meaningful life. So there's no arrogance at all. Thank you, Coral.
I can't agree more. Neelam, my last question before I request you to read another passage from your beautiful
Oh,
book.
okay, I have to look
Uh,
for that.
no,
Okay.
before you do that, I will have another question for you.
Yeah.
And this is my last question, that in your diverse journey, you have
Yes.
crafted many moments, many I am invincible moments. You have defeated deadly diseases. You have left behind terrible losses. You have uh, defeated the boundaries that had come to you and you have crossed them with at ease, or you have had to take certain uh, initiatives to get them behind you. And today you are a multifaceted achiever. I would like to know that in your journey towards I am invincible, which of these moments makes you feel the richest?
What a lovely question, Coral. So, money has never been a priority for me. It has always been just a need.
Mhm.
Definitely, I don't like to remain poor. I don't like to, starve. But for me, wealth is when you uh, feel rich. Wealth is when you open up your life and your heart. So take, I feel rich when I see glorious sunsets. I feel rich when my son and daughter hug me and kiss me. I feel very rich when there is family togetherness. I feel very rich when I'm able to look after my 91-year-old mother who is bedridden. That gives me a feeling of abundance. And trust me, I do not know the source of where everything comes from, but it does. So I have a little, I want to say something. So, who is actually poor? Who is poor? Not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more. And
Absolutely.
also, I would like to share something I read, and it has really impressed me. Too many people spend money they earned to buy things they don't want, to impress people they don't like.
That is so true. That is so
That's so
true.
true, isn't it? Yeah. People are
Absolutely.
in a rat race.
Absolutely. Neelam, if you are comfortable now, I would request you to read another passage of your book, which I have
Sure.
ordered and it should be really reaching me
Oh,
shortly. Audience, please do buy this book. I can tell you for sure that it will be worth your time if you go through this book. I haven't read it, but I know what she writes.
thank you so
Neelam,
much. I wanted to read out some quotations. Now I can't find it. Okay. So I will read something from this. Uh,
sure.
Writing these stories made me feel proud to be born a human. I hope it has the same effect on you. Here's to the limitless, untapped power of the human spirit, resilient, supple, and tough. It bounces back the moment you decide to tap into its vast and deep reservoir. Perhaps the stories that follow will help you recognize and acknowledge its immense power. Let us use this power to overcome our personal troubles as well as those that engulf our troubled world today. So,
Such a wonderful passage.
thank you so much.
You are saying something, Neelam.
Yeah, I don't remember, but yes, I think it is all about looking for the hero within ourselves because there is one. I mean, the pandemic has been a very tough period for everyone, and everyone has risen to the occasion. That shows what we are capable of.
Absolutely. Neelam, thank you so much for your time this evening. It really means a lot, and I had an amazing time. Like always, I always have a great time when I talk to you. And likewise, it was another amazing evening that we both just created together. Thank you so
It
much.
is, Coral. Thank you so much. It's always amazing talking to you. As a parting sentence, I just want to tell the viewers, hope is a decision, but it is the most important decision. Let's remember that. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Coral.
Thank you so much, Neelam. Bye bye.
Bye bye.